Alrighty, guys, I'm now 15-1 on my last 16 board member tier package bets on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. And if you want to see a video breakdown of every single one of my personal sports bets here today, you can do that right now by becoming a board member on my website. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my NBA free pick video here today for Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. Happy Tuesday to you. Hopefully you guys got your week off started very good. Hopefully you got your week, off to a good start. Of course, my name is Brock Page, and I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And once again, guys, I'm 15-1 on my last 16 board member tier package bets on that site. And not only do board members get access to my board member podcast every single day, you're also going to get access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day until April 1st. It's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my website is I actually share with you which one of these free picks on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. I currently have over 545 members who are signed up and active on my site right now. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Cavaliers at the Hornets, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Cleveland's minus 7.5, totals 224. Now, the Cavs are arguably the best defensive team in the NBA. These guys are giving up a league low 106 points per contest while traveling. They also grab more defensive boards a game on the road than any other team in the NBA. Evan Mobley snags over 8.5 rebounds a game. And he also makes 54% of his field goal attempts. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell, he averages a team-best 27 points a night. He also leads the club in steals per contest. Now, they're facing a Charlotte team who lost 5 out of their last 7. They play some pretty bad basketball at home. Out of 33 contests in the Spectrum Center, Charlotte got the W only 11 times. And no real surprise here, guys. The Hornets are currently dead last in the league in defensive boards. Now, injury-wise, Martin and Williams are out. Oubre is questionable. Meanwhile, for Cleveland on the other side, Jared Allen, he's going to be inactive for them. So you won't see him on the floor. But total-wise, Cleveland saw unders against the likes of Detroit and Toronto recently. Meanwhile, Charlotte went 80% to the under in their last 10. Give me Cleveland minus 7.5, under 224. Next matchup, it is going to be Pistons at the Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Washington's minus 12.5, totals 222 and a hook. And as bad as Detroit is, I'm not sure Washington's playing good enough to cover here. They're on a 3-game skid, and they failed to cover the point spread in 7 out of their last 10. And when it comes to offensive production, the Wizards are one of the lowest scoring teams at home in the Eastern Conference. They're facing a Pistons squad who does have their fair share of covers recently. They covered against the likes of Indiana, Chicago, and this very Washington team just last Tuesday. And believe it or not, guys, the Pistons do somehow have a winning record against the point spread on the road. Now, injury-wise, make no mistake, the Pistons have an absurd amount of guys on the injury list. Burks, Bogey, and Ivy are questionable. Bagley and Stewart are still inactive. Meanwhile, for the Wizards on the other side of things, Kuzma and Davis are questionable. Gibson's out. When it comes to the total, Washington saw unders recently against the likes of Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Chicago. Meanwhile, Detroit went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Give me the Pistons plus 12.5, under 222 and a hook. Next game, Nuggets, Raptors, 7:30 p.m. East. Toronto's minus 1, totals 226. And the Raptors play their best basketball at home. And they're one of the tougher defensive teams in the East. These guys are currently in the top 10 in defensive points per game. They're also grabbing more defensive boards per contest than most clubs in the Eastern Conference. Jacob Poeltl, he's grabbing just about double-digit rebounds a game with his new team. Played about, I think it's 11 or 12 games with Toronto. Meanwhile, Pascal Siakam snagging nearly 8 rebounds a game himself. And he also leads the club in points. Now they're facing a Denver team on the other side of things who's currently on a 3-game skid. And they play just .500 basketball while traveling. Now Denver's also had a tough time on defense away from the Mile High City. They currently have the 2nd worst defensive field goal percentage on the road in the NBA. Now, injury-wise, Jackson and Murray are both questionable. Najee's still out. When it comes to the total in this one, Denver saw unders against the likes of Chicago, Memphis, and Dallas. Meanwhile, Toronto saw 5 out of their last 9 stay under the line. Give me Toronto -1, under 226. Next matchup, it is going to be Nets at the Thunder, 8 o'clock East. Oklahoma City's -1, totals 232.5. Now, the OKC Thunder won 5 out of their last 6. And they score more points a game at home than any other team in the league except for one. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he averages a team-high 31 points a game. And he also has a bunch of steals defensively. Meanwhile, Josh Giddey's grabbing nearly 6 defensive boards per contest. And he also ranks 2nd on the team in points. Now, they're facing a Brooklyn squad on the other side who really struggles guarding the three-pointer themselves. They're actually in the bottom 5 in defensive three-point percentage while traveling. When it comes to rebounding the basketball, Brooklyn grabs fewer offensive boards a game than any other team in the NBA, except for one. Now, injury-wise, Bum Simmons is still out for Brooklyn. That guy sucks. And when it comes to the total, the Nets saw their last 2 straight get over the total. 14-10 to the over against the Western Conference this year. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City went 70% to the over in their last 10. Give me Oklahoma City -1, over 232.5. All right, next matchup. It is going to be Lakers at the Pelicans. That'll be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. The LA Lakers are -1, totals 225. Now, the Lakers are still going to work without LeBron James and Mo Bamba. Both of those guys are inactive, nursing injuries. Now, Anthony Davis, he's also battling a sore foot, so keep an eye on his status. Now, the Lakers are 4 games below 500 on the road, and they've had all kinds of problems on the defensive end of the court. LA's currently in the bottom 5 in defensive points per game while traveling. They're also one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the Western Conference. Now, they're facing a Pelicans team who's in the top 3 in the NBA in defensive boards at home. Big Jonas Valanciunas, he's snagging a whole bunch of rebounds a game. It's actually just about double-digit rebounds per contest. Meanwhile, CJ McCollum's leading the active roster here today with 21 points per contest. And once again, guys, when it comes to defensive play, the Pels are actually the best team in the NBA right now in defending the three-pointer. Now, injury-wise, Brandon Ingram's questionable. Zion's still out. Meanwhile, for LA, once again, LeBron and Mo Bamba are out. AD's banged up as well. When it comes to the total, the Lakers went 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Pelicans saw 8 out of their last 10 stay under the total themselves. Give me the Pelicans +1, under 225. Next matchup, it is going to be Magic at the Spurs, 8 o'clock East. Orlando's -4.5, totals 233. Now, the Magic covered recently against the likes of Miami, Charlotte, and the Pelicans. They're also 21-12 against the point spread in their travels. Paolo Banchero scores 20 points a game along with 6 boards. Meanwhile, Wendell Carter scoring 15 points a game himself. Now, when it comes to defensive play, Orlando has the 2nd lowest defensive three-point percentage on the road in the NBA. Now, they're facing a San Antonio team who failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. And they have the 2nd fewest wins in the Western Conference. And no real surprise here, guys, the Spurs allow more points a game than any other club in the league. Now, injury-wise, Johnson and Sochan are questionable. Birch, Langford, Jones, and Branham are out. Meanwhile, for Orlando on the other side, Franz Wagner's got a sore ankle, so keep an eye on his status there. And when it comes to the total, Orlando's 19-14 to the under on the road. Meanwhile, San Antonio saw unders against the likes of OKC, Indiana, and Utah. Give me Orlando -4.5, under 233. Next game, it is going to be Bucks at the Suns, 10 o'clock East. Milwaukee's -1, totals 232. Milwaukee got the W in 8 out of their last 10, and they're currently the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. Giannis is grabbing just about a dozen rebounds per contest and also leads the club in scoring. Meanwhile, Drew Holiday's averaging nearly 20 points per contest himself, and he shoots it really well from three-land. Now, when it comes to defensive play, these guys have been the toughest team to shoot on when they travel. They're leading the league in defensive field goal percentage on the road. They also have the lowest defensive three-point percentage away from home in the NBA. Now, they're taking on a Phoenix team who struggles to shoot the basketball at times. These guys are actually one of the worst field goal shooting teams in the entire Western Conference at home. Now, the Suns on the other side, in addition to that, they also have a tendency to start off slow. They're in the bottom 5 in first quarter scoring. Now, injury-wise, Durant and Shamet are still inactive. When it comes to the total, Phoenix has gone 9-3 to the under in their home games against the East. They're also 20-7 to the under in all of their contests against the Eastern Conference, regardless of location. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's 23-11 to the under in their road trips. Give me the Bucks -1, under 232.5. Next game. This is our next and final matchup for the video. It is going to be Knicks at the Blazers, 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. New York's the 1-point favorite, totals 228. Now, the Knicks do play their best basketball on the road. They've got 21 road wins on the year, and they actually have the second lowest defensive field goal percentage on the road in the game. Julius Randle's got a bunch of steals on the season, and in addition to that, he also averages over 8 defensive boards a game. Now, Randle's currently the team's leading scorer with 25 points per contest. Meanwhile, RJ Barrett, he's scoring just about 20 points a game himself. Now, they're taking on a Portland squad who's actually in the middle of a 3-game skid. And the Blazers also dropped 7 out of their last 10. Now, one of Portland's biggest issues is defensive play, especially at home. They're currently in the bottom 5 in home points allowed. And they're currently the worst team in the league in defending the three-pointer at home. Their opponents are knocking down nearly 40% of their three-pointers against them in that category in the Moda Center. Now, injury-wise, Lillard, Grant, and Baji, they are all listed as questionable. Winslow is out. Meanwhile, for New York on the other side, Jalen Brunson's banged up a little bit as well, so keep an eye on his status, although I still think New York's good to go here, even if Brunson doesn't suit up. Now, total-wise, New York saw overs recently against the likes of Boston, Miami, and Brooklyn. Meanwhile, Portland's gone 20-12 to the over in the Moda Center. Give me New York -1, over 228. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me Cleveland -7.5, under 224. Detroit +12.5, under 222 and a hook. I'm 15-1 on my last 16 board member tier package bets on my website. And if you want to see a video breakdown of every single one of my personal bets, there's only one way to do that, and that's to join my full access, all-inclusive board member package at patreon.com/BrockPage. Give me Toronto -1, under 226. Oklahoma City -1, over 232.5. New Orleans Pelicans +1, under 225. Orlando Magic -4.5, under 233. Milwaukee Bucks -1, under 232.5. And with my next and final free pick, give me the Knicks -1, over 228.